Coaching your reps to build strong customer relationships is a solid investment in your future expansion strategies. Welcome to Club Revenue. I'm Cornelius Willis, and I'm excited to talk through Splunk's very customer-driven revenue tactics with its VP of Sales, Christine Gilroy. But first, let's take a look at the trends that are driving these very nuanced sales approaches. When businesses evolved from selling a one-and-done perpetual license to subscription or usage-based revenue models, the traditional sales process was transformed into a customer journey. In order for this business model to work, the customer has to keep buying each time they renew, and even buy more products from the portfolio. So of course, it pays to keep customers around for years. Boston Consulting Group found that there is 20 times more value generated over a customer's lifetime than in the first year of the customer relationship. Splunk's Vice President of Sales, Christine Gilroy, knows all about keeping the right players involved in the customer journey. In fact, she's built a process that keeps sales reps focused on both bringing in new customers, but also growing their existing relationships by aligning compensation to both hunting and farming. Let's find out how she's doing it. Christine, welcome to Club Revenue. Really excited to talk about your expansion strategies today.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me.
So I hear you have separate targets for the team for expansion revenue and then your new logo revenue. But the same rep does both types of business. Is that right?
Right. They do both types of business, but our compensation structure, so incentive comp always drives behavior, right? So our incentive compensation structures, we're taking a new approach where they're paid differently on that revenue. So they have a focus on new logos, but they also have a focus on retaining the existing accounts and then selling additional portfolio products into it, because we don't just have one solution. So once we land into a customer, we have several different solutions they can sell, and we don't want to break that relationship with the customer they've built with.
So do you have an account plan, kind of a tool where you have these customer objectives recorded, available, and understood across the teams?
One of the exercises that we went through, we plant the flag, we call it, where we put all of our customers, for the rep would put all their customers and list them down, and then look at what types of interactions they were having with the customer across our product line. And so that allowed us to say, we project these kind of revenues coming from these customers, but also these are the outcomes and the goals that the customers want to achieve. And so those are the people from the organization we want to focus on that particular set of customers. We did that in Excel, but we find a way to put that into our CRM system as well. So there's lots of different tools and things that we use to do that. Any way works, as long as my big focus is the less a rep has to input information into a system, and the more people that have visibility into that customer's view, the better. So there's a balance of where you put it and how to do it.
So the key is a shared understanding of what the customer is trying to accomplish. Everyone who touches that customer is on top of that same set of objectives. There's nobody that touches that account that doesn't know the customer's goals.
Right. That's the goal. We don't always do that in any company perfectly, but that's definitely the goal. And you do that through technology, but you also do that through the behaviors and the interactions through team. So helping to build those team relationships and that trust. So we have a lot of cross-functional partners that we work with that cover different product lines or are touching the customers in different ways. And one of the things that I did when I first came to Splunk was put together what I called Operations CX. So coming from a customer experience background into Splunk, it's helped me to be able to organize anyone that touches the customers in my territory and putting them in the same page as the seller. So instead of a random reaction to our customers, it's a very thoughtful process of not only the buyer journey, but the journey after they buy and how do they interact with the organization, so that we know and our cross-functional partners know what each other's doing on a very scheduled cadence. And so that will help us get that center point where everybody's aware of what everyone else is doing for the benefit of the same customer objective.
So it sounds like to ensure a smooth customer journey, the whole team needs to be informed about who's doing what and how that benefits the customer. To help us dig into how you can support sellers as they grow their customer relationships, here's Anthony Cesario with some metrics that matter.
Thanks, C-Dub. The customer journey doesn't just stop when the contract is signed anymore. Sellers that are bringing in new business and growing existing accounts need to have a plan for how they are going to be involved after the close. Here are a few ideas you can build into your framework to drive retention and expansion across your customer base. First, Ensuring all teams are aligned around what success looks like after the sale is crucial. Many times, timelines and success criteria change between when they were first set and when the contract is signed. A formal kickoff process that gets the new customer on the same page with the seller and the customer success team will keep everyone on track. Second, the seller must continue delivering value after the sale. Having a point of view around things like usage and new perspectives on the business, then delivering that point of view via quarterly check-ins all drive value beyond just the simple use of your product or service. Driving consistent value sets your customer up for success and your company up not just for renewal, but for growth. Another great tool for driving value is connecting customers with their peers across the community. We all know that buyers now trust other customers more than marketing or sales messaging, but this also applies in your renewal cycles. If you haven't yet established a formal customer community, start by building a bank of referral customers that are using your product or services in world-class ways. Then find opportunities to spotlight these customers. As we all know, sales is an art and a science. To help the seller know where to focus their time and attention, data such as a customer health score or other engagement metrics should be made available to the reps. Sellers can then put this data to work by looking at the usage and engagement metrics for your customers that renew and grow consistently, then use these metrics as benchmarks for what great looks like moving forward. And lastly, it's critical to drive rigor and accountability across these high-value, non-selling actions to ensure that your team stay just as focused on delivering continuous value for your existing customers as they are on bringing in new business deals. Back to you, C-Dub.
What are some of the ways you can get your team thinking long-term about the customer relationship?
I have my leaders put their plan in place. So I ask them to give me at the beginning of the year the path to their plan. And so when they think about here are the customers they're responsible for and how they segment their reps, what's their path to plan and where's that coming from? And once you ask them to look at that, then they see which reps are getting them there to get them to rise up to meet their goals. Then you marry that to that plant the flag exercise, which is how are we interacting with our customers? And they start to formulate how they're going to build out their long-term plan. A coach once said to me at Oracle, listen, when you rise to the next level, you're no longer on the dance floor teaching them to dance. You're up on the balcony looking down and you're looking at the moves in a different way. And so I use that example and I will help to work with them to rise up and say, that's dancing, you're on the floor. How do we look up and look longer vision? And so they getting their mind shift around that. But one of the things, Cornelius, is leaving space for that. If you get caught up in the day-to-day of always only talking about the forecast or only talking about the pipeline growth, then you lose sight of the strategy. And so some of that is on us as leaders of leaders that we forget to allow them the space and time to think about strategy.
Thanks to Christine Gilroy for sharing these exceptional expansion strategies with us. And that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and join us next week for another real-world revenue strategy, right here on Club Revenue.